Welcome to Thoughts Off the Stem. I'm your host, Justin Barone. Today we're smoking Box Hot's Cruise Control Nitro. It's a sativa. It's very uplifting because it's got some CBG in there. I think it's 50% THC, like 35% CBG, and like zero point 0.7 or 7% CBD. It's a good relaxing high, but it's also a nice little, like you can be social on it. It's a nice social high. Today I wanted to talk to the dudes. I want to talk to the dudes because I feel like sometimes guys need a little reassurance that even when shit's not going their way, they can pick themselves up and dust themselves off and get out of it. There's a famous line, I forget who originally said it, but I heard it on a roundtable talk with Tom Hanks where he said, this too shall pass. The reason that I wanted to talk about this is because I'm in kind of like a crappy spot right now. I've noticed that for the last few days I've been in a bit of a funk. There's a lot of, to be nice about it, readjustment going on in my life, I think. I'm currently in between jobs. I'm reevaluating my life, taking care of 3 kids kind of on my own. Well, not kind of, definitely on my own. They're all becoming teenagers. I have a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 12-year-old. She just turned 12. So there's a lot of puberty happening in the house. There's a lot of changes, a lot of transition. And it just feels like everything is fucking piling on me. So I wanted to do a sesh for the dudes out there that feel the same way, where they feel like life is kind of like pushing them down and holding them down. Just to let you know that like you're not the only one going through it, and there are support groups out there for it. Not that I'm a part of a support group, but if you need somebody for that, there's a lot of opportunities out there. But I wanted to sort of, I guess, share my situation so that those of you out there that feel like you're being piled on, you can't get out from under the rock that you're stuck in or whatever it is, that you're not alone, that you're not the only one that feels that way. There are people out there, other dudes out there that are in the same boat, I feel like a lot of guys, I feel like as a man, I don't know so much anymore because like my dad was pretty open about telling me that, there are people out there to help you, to seek help if you need it. There's a lot of opportunity, and he was very supportive. Like he was not the kind of guy that was like, shut up, suck it up and move on. You know what I mean? There were definitely like male role models in my life that were like that. And I learned a lot. I learned quite a bit from them. Because I think there's a benefit to sort of being that way. I think there's a benefit to like brushing yourself off, dusting yourself off, getting back up and just sort of, shoulder down and going into life. But I think that also, I think we as a society, as dudes need to, support each other and help each other understand that you don't have to be the hardest motherfucker, you can be soft sometimes. You can be sensitive. You can be a lot of different things. You don't have to be one way. And I find myself falling into the trap of, well, it's okay, I got this, whatever the bad situation is, I'll figure it out. That's always my answer. My answer is always, I'll figure it out. Don't worry. I'll get through it. But then I find myself every once in a while in a position like this, where for the last probably 3 or 4 days, I've been in like a massive funk, right? And I just feel like I'm not adequate, I'm not, what's the right word for it? I'm not good enough, I guess, for certain things, certain people. And it really fucks with your mentality. Like real bad, because the more you think about it, the more you get into your head about it, the more you sort of fall down the rabbit hole of I suck. And nobody ever wants to feel like they suck. Everybody wants to feel like they're progressing, that they're moving forward, right? And in my situation, like I said, I don't know if I did say it. Maybe I didn't, but I'll tell you. So now I'm looking for a new job. I'm not working. I'm lucky enough that I can support myself in the interim, but it's tough to find a job. So I don't have a job right now. I'm trying to sort of stay positive and occupied by doing this podcast and looking for a job. I've spent countless hours on redoing my resume, so that it looks as professional as possible, redoing my cover letter, to do all just to make sure that whatever the next opportunity I get is a big leap forward, because I hate going backwards and I never want to go sideways, right? Like I never want to make a lateral move. I always want to move. I'm okay with going 2 steps back to jump 3 steps forward. I'm not okay with taking 1 step sideways and then getting stuck. You end up in like a whole different issue of complacency at that point. And I'm very worried about that because I'm on my own, taking care of 3 kids. I should preface this with saying I'm not totally on my own. I do have a girlfriend. I do have family support. I do have people around me that are willing to help me out and support me and listen and, help me through some of the tough stuff. Like my girlfriend's been a great help in terms of, she's the reason that I changed my resume, man. But I think that as dudes, we need to know that there's people that we can lean on, because our whole existence is based on, we support our family. We're the ones that everybody has to, that everybody can come to so that your problems get solved, right? We're the problem solvers. That's the way dudes are. We're programmed to be like, what's that problem? Got it. No problem. Fixed it. Done. And I think that we need to understand that it's okay to not have the answer. I think we need to understand that it's okay to not feel like you're good enough and just keep moving through the situation. Because any adversity that I've ever had in my life, the one consistent thing is that as long as you're working to get out of that problem, you're going to get out of that problem. It may take a few months, it may take a year, it may take however long it takes, but as long as you're doing something every day to progress that movement, to progress that step forward, that next step, you'll work through it. So a lot of the times when I was younger, I would get like super pissed off at shit. I would get introverted, and I would end up spending a lot of time on my own, not really talking to anybody, filling the days with, either drinking or just like binge watching TV for hours and hours, or days even. Like when I first separated with the kids, with the kids' mom, they weren't living with me. And I spent almost every single weekend, all the blinds closed, drinking and just binge watching TV till Monday came, because all I could think about was how do I get enough money to support this situation? Because in my situation, I was on the hook for child support, pretty much everything the kids needed, and paying for my house and groceries, things like that, like everyday things that when the kids came over, they needed it. When they were gone, and for the week or however long they were gone, I didn't need very much, right? Because you're one person, you just don't need that much. But then you have all these extra responsibilities of making sure that they have everything that they need. And then you have to make sure that they have everything that they need over at, their mom's house. And then you need to make sure that they have everything that you need at your house. You have to pay all your bills. You can't be late on any of them. Like, debt was a motherfucker. And, that was a really trying time. That's probably when I felt like I was at my lowest, because everything had fucking crumbled, right? And then this was like, I don't know, 10 years ago or so. But then I ended up leaving the job I was at there to take care of the kids better. They started living with me. It was a fucking struggle, man. So I totally understand it. And that's the thing that I want to talk about. I've been talking about it, I guess. Fuck, dude, that little vape cart's pretty good. I'm already repeating myself. That's fucking ridiculous. We're only like 10 minutes in, just about 10 minutes in, and I'm already repeating myself. But that's how I feel lately. I feel that I'm being weighed down by the weight of not having a job, wanting to find that not just a job, finding a career, coming through for my kids, being there for my girlfriend, being there for the people around me, having the expectation that I can help provide in any of the moments where other people need some help. And I think that guys don't get enough support in terms of um, just helping you through emotionally the adversity of life. I think that a lot of us go down that road of getting pissed off at everything and everyone around us, um, because we feel like we're responsible for the success of everybody in our inner circle. And it weighs on you, man. Like when you see, when you see a man come home, head down, sort of dragging his lunchbox and, you know, ape walking it, I guess you could say, um, it's kind of sad, because you know that guy's not just dealing with one or two minor issues throughout life. He's dealing with some pretty heavy burdens, I would say. And I don't know that burden's the right word, but like that's how it appears, right? And I think that we don't. I'm saying a lot. I apologize. I think that we as dudes need to find ways to sort of help each other understand that it's okay to 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 feel the way that we feel. I think we need to be able to help each other understand that it's okay to talk about how we actually feel instead of just, shooting the shit and talking shit with your buddies. I think that we need to also be able to help each other stay up. And a lot of that is like contact, communication, checking in. And I have a few people that do that, and I really appreciate it, because at this point, my instinct, and I'm sure a lot of guys out there understand this, but my instinct is to, I don't know if I push people away, but it's probably what it's classified as. I kind of like put people on the back burner, and I, revert to my cave kind of, and I sort of put myself in this little like spot of solitude. And the people that do reach out and try to help out, and I tend to, I guess, push them away. I want guys out there to understand and know that like you don't have to do that. It's been a long time since I've been in a really bad rut where I just sort of, like I said, went to a place of solitude and stayed on my own and really reverted into me. But the weight of everything that's going on right now is really pressing on me. And between taking care of the kids, taking care of, my daily responsibilities, financial responsibilities, and giving myself to other people so that we can enjoy each other is tough right now, because I just feel like I'm bogged down. I don't have the energy for it. And I don't feel like I'm adequate or I'm good enough to be in those scenarios. And I know that I'm good enough. Like I've got friends, I've got people, you know what I'm saying? But because I have so much like external stress coming across me and like sort of pushing at me or pulling me in different directions, I find that it's starting to get to me. And I've noticed in the last few days, I've really started to pull back from a lot of things that I wouldn't normally do. Or I mean, that I would normally do. Like, for example, I text my girlfriend every day, all day. We talk about everything, right? And I've noticed that in the last few days, there's been big chunks of time where I've sort of been, as she would put it, having a pity party for myself and not really talking to anybody and just watching like mind-numbing media or doing something that's mind-numbing, right? Whereas realistically, what I should be doing is taking those moments, those times where I would be watching or doom scrolling TikTok. I should be taking that time and using it for something that would help me get out of this rut. You know what I'm saying? So I just really want you to know that you're not the only one. You're not alone. Other dudes feel this way. I just feel like we need a little more support. And I know some people are going to watch this being like, oh, fucking white guy talking about men need support, blah, blah, blah. Listen, we internalize a lot of shit, okay? We take a lot of shit to heart. we don't feel like we can really like express our emotions to people without, maybe not, without people sort of, you know, having something to say about it. Sometimes a guy just, I shouldn't say. Sometimes I just want to have somebody that I can like dump some of this on and just talk at them as opposed to them. And luckily I have my dad who allows me, and my mom who allow me to do that from time to time. I think that we as dudes should try to find a way to recognize when a friend is in a position where that needs to happen. Because I know for me, if my friends want to like just unload their whatever, I'm there to listen. You could just talk at me. As long as you're not screaming and yelling at me and telling me I'm a fucking idiot, then, you know, you could tell me whatever you want to tell me. And I'll just sit and listen. If you want advice, I'll give you advice. Sometimes I give it unsolicited advice. But, you know, I'm just trying to do my best to have some kind of input in what people bring to me. And I think as a guy, as a man, as a dude, we have to do a better job of doing all those things for our other dudes, you know? We need to be able to communicate amongst ourselves without feeling like, you know, you're going to get made fun of or you're going to get this. Again, I'm repeating myself. But yeah, that's really what I'm talking about. Like I said, I've recently had a pretty shitty situation where now I'm kind of, you know, refiguring things out at fucking 43. That's a tough one, dude. Fuck, imagine that. You're almost middle age, and you're like, okay, what do I gotta do? Now, granted, the last job I was at, working at the shop, that was like really just for fun. I wasn't necessarily obviously there for the money, but I was definitely there for the title. I liked the title, and I like to be able to help people. So it was really, and I like to teach. I've realized that recently. Like I've said, I've been really trying to reevaluate where I'm at and what I'm good at and what I like, what kind of, you know, input I can have into the world around me. And I really like teaching. I think I'm pretty good at it. There's a few things at the shop that I learned in the role that I was in that I'm good at, that I would like to continue to do. And now I'm slightly worried that I don't have the needed experience to move forward in that, which is kind of, you know, depressing a little bit. But that's my goal right now. My goal is to keep moving through it. So as much as I need to find another job to, you know, bring in some income to be able to pay the bills and stuff like that, I also have other things like this podcast where I can do something like this and just talk about what's on my mind, which is also kind of nice because I guess it's kind of like, you know, journaling, where I can put my thoughts out there and hopefully somebody relates to them and it helps them move through whatever they're, you know, moving through or working through. But I do know that this will come to an end and things will move on. Provided I do the right things will move forward instead of going backwards, because I don't really want to go backwards. That's like like I said, that's one of my biggest fucking fears. And I think that a lot of guys need sort of like a little bit of hand holding in that, you know, you need somebody that's familiar with the territory and dealing with some of the same things that you're dealing with to be able to help you see the brighter side. Because, as a single dad who's taking care of a teenager, two teenagers, and a 12-year-old. Like I said, man, there's so much puberty flying through this house. Like, if ghost hunters were looking for the remnants of puberty, they could, like, if they were looking for puberty, like they were looking for ghosts, if you had that heat signature on, my house would be glowing fucking red because everybody's in their spot right now. And my attention span's gotten a little sharp, tighter. It's got a little bit more, I've got a little bit more aggravation on my shoulders. I'm carrying it around. I noticed that. And I don't really like it. So I think that this podcast gives me the opportunity to be able to get that off my chest, you know, get it out, and hopefully it helps somebody else. Because, dude, I'm telling you right now, I just feel like I feel like Andre the Giant is just sitting on my back and I'm pinned to the mat. If you're young, you won't get that. Well, maybe you will. I don't know. But yeah, that's how I feel. Like you can't get up. You're stuck. you're covered, like you're going to have to tap out to get out. And I don't want to tap out. I never want to tap out. I also think that a big key to not wanting to tap out is being able to have that support, because as guys, like I said, as dudes, our whole like aura is essentially being like, whatever the problem is, I'll fix it, I'll work through it, you know. I think that if we have that support and we know that there's other people going through those things, I think it gives you a sense of calm, a sense of belonging. I think it also gives you a sense that you're not the only one dealing with it, so it kind of gives you that push to keep going in a more positive way. Because a lot of guys push forward when they're in a rut like this. They push forward, but it's like a negative push. Not that things are going to turn out negatively, but their attitude towards it becomes very negative and very down, because you're sitting there going like everything is not going your way right now, right? And you're trying your best to work it through, but it's not coming quick enough, and you're not seeing the alleviation. I don't even know if that's a word. You're not seeing that stress alleviated. Is that a good word for it? I don't know. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like, you want that stress to go away. The harder you work, that stress is supposed to go away because you're progressing. But then as you work harder, the stress builds because you're in your head about the stress not going away, right? Like, you're sitting there. I know when I'm doing things in the day right now, 90% of my thought process is, fuck, why isn't this working? Why can't I do this? What should I do with this? What should I do with that? How is this? And then you just get into this spiral of, you're not cutting it, man. You're not doing it good enough. You're not going to get there. You're never going to be there. You're stuck. Like, you can't do this. And now it's affecting you. So you suck. You're a jackass. You can't get ahead, blah, blah, blah. You just turn it on yourself, right? And your outward perception, your outward persona is, hey, I got it all together. I'm great. I'm good, but internally, you're basically just talking about what a piece of crap you are. Don't do that. You can't do that. I caught myself doing it in the fucking Walmart parking lot this morning. And I had to stop. I had to be like, dude, look, you can't talk to yourself like that. I turned the rear view mirror and I put it on myself and I was like, buddy, you can't talk like that. And I had a little pep talk with myself. I know it sounds crazy, but I talk to myself anyway, so who really gives a shit? And I'm in my car. What are you going to do? Walk by and be like, oh, look at that fucking psychopath. I don't care, dude. It's better than, going postal on somebody. So I think the biggest lesson, I think the biggest amount of advice that I can give in this situation, because I've hit some hard times, everybody's hit hard times, is to move through it, compartmentalize it, because if you just let it take over your fucking day and your life, you're going to drive yourself nuts. So compartmentalize it, take a step. Make sure that whatever steps you take throughout the day are working towards the ultimate goal that you're trying to achieve, or like the end result that you're trying to get when you're trying to get out of a rut like this. Know that you have people to talk to in multiple different forms. Hopefully you have some family members and close friends that'll listen. But don't stick in it, because like Tom Hanks said, this too shall pass. And the harder you work at it, just know that you're putting that out there. So whatever you put out there will come back to you. If you put it out with a positive vibe, it's going to come back with a positive vibe. It will work. You just have to keep at it. And I think this is like to the partners out there, if there's any, wives watching this, girlfriends, whoever, ladies, if your man seems to be like this kind of guy right now, just support him. Like, sometimes you got to give tough love, but sometimes you also just got to be like, everything's going to be okay, and be soft about it. I personally like the tough love part because it motivates me. But every now and again, I need a hug. I like a good solid hug. You know what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with adversity or you're dealing with a situation that you feel like you really need to improve on, just keep in mind that nothing changes overnight. You do have to work at it. You do have to take the steps to make it real. And you do have to have a little bit of patience. Don't get down on yourself, because as soon as you start talking to yourself like you hate yourself, that's when things really spiral out of control. If you need somebody to talk to, reach out. Reach out to someone. We live in the day of immediate information. If you feel like you have to talk to somebody, you just Google, men's group. There's a million on Facebook, and a lot of these dudes are supporting each other. Yeah. And I think that as parents, if we're bringing up young men, we need to show them that there's a time to be tough. You can also be sensitive. You're allowed to feel emotions. And hopefully that will make it better for other generations, because you need balance, right? Everything, moderation. You need moderation, but moderation is the key to everything. What am I trying to say? Moderation is the key. You should do everything in moderation, even moderation. So you want to have a good balance of being that guy that's tough enough to handle whatever, but also be emotionally available. Be aware of how you're acting, and make sure that you're not putting it on someone else. Treat people how you want to be treated, but also treat yourself nicely. Have compassion for yourself. And the people around guys, people that are, family members, things like that, be compassionate to your dude. Because your dude is constantly thinking about, how do I make this better? How do I make sure that everybody around me feels supported and needed? And comfortable, right? Really, as a dude, we just want to feel the same. We want to feel supported, and we want to feel needed. And we want to feel like we're accomplishing something. Even in times when we're not necessarily moving forward, we want to know that we have that support. That's what I wanted to talk about today. So I hope you enjoyed the sesh, because those are my thoughts off the stem for this week. I hope you come back next week with me, Justin Barone. Visit tots420.com. Subscribe to Thoughts Off the Stem on YouTube. If you smoke weed and you like the potential things that I'm smoking on here that I mentioned at the beginning of the sesh, subscribe to Thoughts Off the Stem on YouTube. And then you can get the Sunday Strain Review playlist snippets, where I test out a bunch of different strains and things that I use on the podcast. I'm always working on them, so if the thing I'm smoking today is not up there, it will be. Don't worry, I'm getting there. But I hope you enjoyed the sesh. I hope you come back next week. And tell your friends. Tell your friends about Thoughts Off the Stem. Most of the time I try to have a little more fun, but this was really on my mind today. Anyway, until next time, keep your lids low, baby.